Hi everyone, welcome back to Rabbi's Reflection. I'm glad that you're joining with me today. We'll be continuing in our study of My Grandfather's Blessings by Dr. Naomi Remen, and today reading the story The Game. Stay with us as we read through the story and then offer some reflections. I was raised to read the tea leaves in life, to examine every life event to determine if it was fortunate or unfortunate. The fortunate ones were painless, easy, and happy. The unfortunate ones were not. Although I once was certain, I no longer believe that I can tell the difference. As my father, a dedicated and somewhat addicted gin rummy player, would say, "It's not in the hand, it's in the way that you play it." Almost everyone in the family was drafted at one time or another to be my father's opponent at cards. My father was a scientific player, and he practiced constantly. Often after the first 5 or so cards had been played, he would be able to tell you with a high percentage of accuracy what you held in your hand and what cards you probably needed to win. He based his conclusions on the cards that had been discarded and what was in his hands. He was rarely wrong. He would hold back the cards you needed in his own hand until he had picked the cards he needed to declare victory. He played with his buddies, filling the kitchen with cigar smoke and winning almost every hand. My mother played by pure intuition. She ignored every rule of the game, blithely breaking up lays and discarding matching cards, throwing back the very cards she had picked up only moments ago. He was never able to beat her. I remember his outraged howls when she would discard one of the 3 jacks he knew she must be holding and pick another card. "Gladys, you can't do that," he would bellow. My mother would look at him with the most innocent and wicked of smiles. "But I have, Ray," she would tell him. "I have." Eventually, he refused to play with her. "She does not play fair," he would tell me. My parents' kitchen table card games are among my favorite family memories. They were often hilariously funny, but they were important in other ways as well. These were some of my earliest lessons in the fact that the game may lie beyond the rules, that we can know many things that we can never explain, and that following your own deepest wisdom may be the best way of all to live. This week's story from Dr. Remen is funny, but also in her style, and as always with these stories, it's quite profound. Called The Game, and it centers around how her father and her mother would play gin rummy. Her father would play by the book. He was a great cards player. He knew how to count cards. He knew what the cards that you had in your hand. He knew how to manipulate the game. And he was very good at it, but he could never beat her mother. Her mother was someone who played by intuition, who didn't follow the rules, and that infuriated her and made him just so angry that he wouldn't even want to play with her anymore. And so what we draw from this lesson, or we draw from this story, it's really beautiful kind of depiction of father and mother playing and a child watching, is that the rules aren't what they're, all meant to, or cracked up to be. You could be a great cards player and know the rules really well, but that's not always going to lead you to win. And more importantly, I think the underlying piece to it is that's not necessarily going to make you happy. It seems like the mother was happy. She had a free spirit. She said what she wanted to do, she did what she wanted to do. She threw out cards that she might have been collecting. It didn't matter. And that didn't make her any less successful at the game. And so I think what we're learning from the story and the way that Dr. Remen is depicting it and kind of inviting us to reflect about is what are the kind of maybe the rules, the written rules or the unwritten rules about how we go about life, the things that we think we're supposed to do or expected to do, and I'm sure some of them are important for us and matter and are there for a reason, but there are probably other things that we could probably let go of, that we could probably think about acting a little bit differently or just releasing ourselves from the grip of that. She starts off in the beginning of the first paragraph with her father even saying it's about the card game. It's not in the hand, it's the way you play it. And that is just such a profound statement. Right? We're not going to be able to totally choose our lot in life and what happens to us. We have some autonomy, but it's really about how we play it. It's about how we confront and react to what happens in our lives. And when we can do that with some freedom, with some grace, with some kind of just comedy, with a sense of just following our own intuition, that might do us some real good as we experience the ups and downs of life. So I hope this brought you some time of reflection, and I look forward to seeing you soon.